sweeties, if you're new, welcome. If you're not new, welcome back. All your support is appreciated. My name is Araya, and welcome to another episode of True Crime at Bedtime. Today we will be covering the Lover in the Attic case, also known as the Batman case. If you like these type of videos, go ahead and subscribe for more true crime content. And if you clicked on this video, I advise you to stay because it's going to get crazy. So let's go ahead and get into it. Dolly Oesterreich, I'm going to say that's her name. I can't pronounce the last name that well, but I'm just going to say Oesterreich. Was named Wahlberga Korshell, I'm assuming that's how you pronounce it. Her nicknames included Dolly, and Queen of Los Angeles. At just 12 years old, Dolly worked at the textile mill of Fred Oesterreich. Fred was a German immigrant as well, and he basically hired other German immigrants because he knows what it feels like. Dolly was a very attractive young lady who off the bat had a attraction to Fred, and when she was 17 they ended up getting married. The marriage soon went downhill because rumors started to spread that Dolly was bringing in different men into his house while he was at work. Fred worked really long hours and he was also an alcoholic, so if he wasn't working hard he would be at home drinking, so he would never have time for Dolly. Of course she felt like, well, if you don't have time for me, I'm gonna go find somebody else and do what I need to do. One day her sewing machine had broke and she had called her husband Fred to basically send somebody over there to fix it. Fred ended up sending over Otto Sandhuber. Dolly immediately found Otto attractive. Mind you, Dolly was 33 at this time and Otto was 17. From that day forward, Otto and Dolly began to have an affair. They would meet up at hotels, but then at some point they were like, okay, I don't like doing this, it's exhausting, riding from hotel to hotel. So that's when he began to come over and they had sex at the house, in the bed, where Fred sleep. Of course, the neighbors started getting suspicious because they know who Fred is and they don't know who this man is. So who is this man coming in and out of your house? You know what I'm saying? So basically, to stop the rumors from going around, she basically just told everybody that he was her homeless half brother, and he was just, you know, he would come and, you know, just be in there with her. You know, he would visit and stuff like that, basically. So once this happened, it was starting to get really like, okay, people are starting to notice that you coming over here. So how about we do this where you just stay in my attic? Otto was given food, a lamp, a book, and like I think paper and pens so he can write and stuff, because Otto did like to write. This whole affair of him being in the attic carried on for 5 years. That wasn't until 1918 when Fred was like, okay, I want to sell the house. And she was like, what I'm gonna do? So they picked out a house or whatever. She picked out a house with an attic, and basically she told Otto to go there a few days earlier before they actually moved in so he can go ahead and settle up in the attic. Of course the plan worked and they went unnoticed for another 4 years. August 22nd of 1922, Fred and Dolly were having this huge argument. Otto thought she was in trouble or in some type of danger, so he came down with 2 pistols. Of course Fred tried to fight him off because he was confused, like, who is this and why is he in our attic? But he tried to fight him off, and while they were struggling and fighting all over the floor, Fred got shot 3 times. Dolly and Otto were panicking because Fred is dead on the floor and it wasn't meant to be like this. She just wanted her side piece and her man. They came up with the cover story that basically they were going to say that a robber came in and shot Fred and then put Dolly in the closet and then stole some stuff. She called the police and basically said that they got robbed. The police were suspicious, just like me. But there was no further evidence saying anything else other than, hey, it's a robbery, so they just let it go. At this point, you're thinking, I'm pretty sure you're thinking, okay, well, since Fred is gone, she can finally be who she wanted to be with Otto. No. Otto stayed in the attic for another 8 years. He had published different books and stuff to make a small amount of money for him and Dolly. While he's doing all of that in the attic, Dolly went out and found her a new man, and he was a lawyer named Harmon S. Shapiro. Just like Fred, Shapiro was also very busy with work. So she went out and found her another lover. We're gonna take a pause so we can grasp what's going on. So Otto is still in the basement. She has a new man, Herman Shapiro. Fred is dead, and she got a new man. Okay? So her new man's name was Roy Clump. Basically used Clump to hide the gun that killed Fred, and she basically used the excuse that, oh, it looks so much like the robber's gun, I don't want to get in trouble. So of course he threw it in some type of tar mill thing. I know it was a second gun, so she took the second gun to her neighbor's house and kind of sweet talked him and, you know, kind of tried to seduce him so she can bury the gun in his yard. And he went for it. She's dating 3 men at the same time. She's using Otto for sex. She done got this man to hide the gun that killed her ex-husband that she was also cheating on with Otto. And she got a new man, the little lawyer. And she done seduced the neighbor into letting her put the gun in his yard. evidence in his yard. I don't care what nobody say. Dolly had it going on. I don't know what these men, this is why they be talking about y'all. So sometime later, I guess she got bored of Clump and she ended up breaking it off with him. And since she broke it off with him, he was like, okay, I'm not standing for that. So he went to the police. So he goes to the police with the story, and he's like, basically, you know, the gun is in here and then the other gun is there. The police go and dig the gun out of the mill and then the yard. While Dolly was waiting on her trial to start or whatever, she ended up asking Shapiro, can he go and buy groceries for Otto? She basically explained the same thing she did to the neighbors, that Otto was just her homeless half brother that's been living in the attic. Because of course at this time she wasn't living with Shapiro, so it was kind of like, oh, it's your house, do what you need to do. It wasn't like they shared the house and he just didn't know he was there. They wasn't sharing the house at the time. They were just boyfriend and girlfriend. When Shapiro came back with some groceries for Otto, he went up there, and Otto, when he got up there, he spilled the truth, like, man, I'm practically her slave. Like, you know, he basically just told him everything that's been going on for these past years. Instead of having common sense and breaking it off with Dolly, he decided that he's just gonna kick Otto out and move in with Dolly and start a new, like, you just resume their relationship. All charges against Dolly were basically dropped because the guns were too messed up for them to even get any evidence off of it, so they couldn't do much about it. About 7 years later, Dolly and Shapiro ended up having issues, and they ended up just breaking it off. And when they broke it off, Shapiro, just like Clump, went to the police and basically told them the whole story. Said he got more evidence on them. So when Clump went to the police, he just went to the police about Dolly because he didn't know anything about Otto. But now that Shapiro knows about Otto and Dolly, he basically gathered up all that evidence and gave it to the police after they broke up. Once again, a warrant was out for her arrest, and now a warrant was out for Otto's arrest. Otto tried to protest in his trial that, you know, he was practically enslaved, but the judge wasn't having it, considering that it was consensual. It was like, you kind of wanted to do that, so he was still charged with manslaughter. Now, when I was reading it, I'm going to put it on the screen what this means, but later the statute of limitations ran out on the manslaughter and Otto was set free. I'm going to put what the statute of limitations is, but he was eventually let free, and Dolly went to jail on a conspiracy. Well, she went to trial on a conspiracy charge, ended up going free because of a hung jury. They didn't know whether she was guilty or not guilty. Like, she didn't technically kill him. She was just out here being a hoe, and it just backfired. So I guess they just didn't know whether she could be guilty or not guilty. Dolly ended up dying in 1961 at the age of 80. This story was a lot more messier than it was like tragic like the other stories I've covered, but I love this story just because Dolly was in here pimping. Like, Dolly was doing what she had to do because Dolly had needs and she needed to do what she had to do. Fred, I feel bad that he died. I feel like Otto could have handled that completely different. Nobody had to die in this situation. I feel like this situation could have been handled completely different. Otto didn't have to kill that man. But Dolly, on the other hand, Dolly had the men coming from every angle. I mean, she done had two side pieces, a husband, a boyfriend, and the neighbor. Dang, Dolly, find some and stay with it, you know? Yeah, that's all I have for you guys today. If you like these type of videos, go ahead and subscribe for more true crime content. I would love to hear from you guys, so if you want to drop your opinions on this story, go ahead and comment down below. I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.